Hello everyone, we are live and welcome to Thursday Live Lessons. My name is Aldrine Guerrero. I'm joined by Mr. Aaron, the voice, Nakamura. Say what's up, Aaron.
What's up?
And Mr. Kahai, the legend Fergan. Say what's up, Kahai.
What's up?
This is Thursday Live Lessons, and how this works is you guys send us all your questions and we will answer them to our best abilities. We can get them in any kind of media as possible, email, through the website. I don't know, through if you see us down the street, ask us a question, whatever. We're going to answer them right here. And all three semi-brilliant minds, we have two brilliant minds and my semi-working one, and we're going to try to answer them as best as we can. And for those of you folks who are part of UU Plus, you can download this later on iTunes. It is a podcast. I was like, what do they call those things? What do the kids call these things nowadays? Podcast. It is a podcast that you guys can download over on iTunes. And if you are listening to this on iTunes as a podcast, make sure to sign up for UU Plus to watch the video version of Thursday Live Lesson, because we show a lot of stuff on video. So you're missing out on pretty much half the content here on Thursday Live podcast. So if you're interested in watching the video, head on to ukuleleunderground.com and sign up for UU Plus. Let's get started. Hit me up with the first question.
So this one is from Carrie.
Okay.
And she wrote like on the site like chunking. Like a explanation too. Like Carrie's blind and she's using the site. So she like if we do stuff, like it's helpful if we like explain it verbally, right? Like for her.
Okay.
And so she's trying to do the chunk.
Yeah.
But she can't do it. She can only do it inconsistently. And then she's finding that she's catching the cuticles on her nails. So is there any tips?
Okay, so as far as it's gonna be tough because it's gonna have to be all.
Well, it's good for the podcast.
Yeah, it's good for the podcast listeners. Okay, so first off, it shouldn't, when you're strumming your ukulele with your pointer finger, it shouldn't reach all the way up to your cuticle, because your cuticle is all the way up here. If you're playing your ukulele, I've always told people that just kind of take your hand and put it maybe like half a foot away from your ukulele like this, but get in strumming positions as if you're strumming your ukulele anyway. So put your hand in in the half a foot position and just kind of do your normal strum. So I'm strumming my ukulele right now as I'm kind of getting closer and closer to my strings, and as I get closer, my fingers start to kind of touch the strings. They're just grazing. So as soon as it makes noise, that's enough. That's enough noise that or that's enough finger that you should be that should be touching your strings on the ukulele.
And that's the tip.
Yeah, that's the tip of my finger. So just to be a little bit more specific, that's the tip of my finger, and it's not gonna. I mean, I have pretty long long fingers and long nail. For me, it doesn't go beyond like the halfway point of my nail, if I can describe it that way. My nail is maybe an inch long. Would you say an inch long? And I don't know. It's tough to kind of like. So it's about an inch long, and I'm not even like halfway, to that. So it's about right here. So if you were to take your pointer finger, and you just placed it on your fretboard like this, I'm just taking my pointer finger. And I am just pointing, like directly, not to the sides or whatever. I'm just pointing directly at the 12th fret like this. And the tip of my finger is touching the 12th fret. So it's like at a 90-degree angle from where the 12th fret is.
Yeah, so you're pointing like directly
at the 12th
fret,
at the fretboard like this.
So perpendicular to the fretboard itself.
Yeah. That's right there should be enough enough to touch your ukulele. A lot of people strum near the sound hole, and what that does is it gets your pointer finger even deeper than it should. When you're touching your fretboard like I am right now, that should be the amount of finger that you're using to strum your ukulele. So for those of you who are viewing the thing, it's right here. So I'm just kind of touching it, and it's perpendicular with my fretboard like this. So if I were to kind of just stay in that position and strum down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, it should be enough to make noise from my ukulele. It shouldn't be digging any more than that. Digging any more than that is kind of unnecessary, and you're not gonna get a good sound anyway, because it's really just just the really tip of your finger. So when you're saying that it's touching your cuticle, that's going all the way up, like up your finger. It shouldn't go that far, that far up. And what you might be doing, because I've seen the I've seen your email, and you're saying that you might send a video, which which would help us out a lot more. You might be kind of making a hook, kind of like a hook finger. So when you're doing a hook finger, that sometimes will touch the cuticle of your of your finger. The strings might touch the cuticle of your finger if if you're strumming it that way, if you're doing a hook, because your finger is curled so that the top part might touch the strings. So all you have to do is kind of lessen the hook. You can have a hook, because sometimes relax your fingers. You can have a slight hook to the finger, but don't make the hook so much that it's like the strings are touching your cuticle. So if that is the problem, just relax your finger, because a relaxed finger is really optimal for playing the ukulele, because what it does is that the finger can move down and up on the on the strings a lot more, and it can glide a lot better because you're relaxed. It's not stiff, because the stiff will kind of tend to pull on the strings a little bit. So in order for you to glide through your strings, make sure to have your fingers relaxed. So you can have a little bit of a hook. So my finger's not completely straight. It's got a little bit of an angle like this, but it's not like a hook like this where it would touch the strings. Now, as far as the chunking part goes, when you do that, if you were to take your hand, okay, now trace your hand from the side like this,
on the thumb side.
On the thumb side. Trace your hand from the thumb side.
Going from your
wrist.
Oh
yeah, sorry. Going from your. I say I'm not very good at giving these kind of explanations. So going from your wrist, the side of I'm holding my hand to the camera right now and showing the open palm of my hand. Okay, so from your forearm up to your wrist, and then go along to the side where your thumb is. Right there, that's what should be touching the strings. That should be what's doing the chunk on your strings, not the front part of your palm, not the open part of your palm, but right on the side of your thumb. That's where it should be touching when you're doing the chunk. So once again, from your wrist, go up to your thumb, and don't kind of just stop right at the tip where the thumb would where the top of the thumb would be. So right before you reach the top of the thumb, stop right there, and that should be the area where you're hitting the strings. Okay, so when I'm doing my chunk, I'm strumming. I have that relaxed finger. I'm strumming down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, and I'm gonna do a down strum, and that part of my thumb is going to be stopping the strings. So the side, that part that you felt, the side of your thumb, not the front part, but the side part of your thumb, should stop the strings from ringing out. So if you were to do this, if you were to point to yourself, I've always kind of explained it this way. If you were to point to yourself and then point down to the ground, when you're pointing down to the ground with your pointer finger, if your thumb is relaxed, that thumb should be in perfect position to stop the strings. So if you're twisting your wrist, just like if you were to turn a doorknob, like a round doorknob, if you were to turn a round doorknob, your thumb should be right there to stop the strings from ringing out. So add the pointer finger to that. You're doing this kind of turning the doorknob. So pointer finger goes down on the strum, and then stop with the side of your thumb like this. So that's the chunk. A lot of people have a hard time because they want their thumb to be like this. They feel like they need their thumb to be pointing down to the ground. It's you don't need your thumb pointing down to the ground. Your thumb just needs to cover all the strings. So if my pointer finger is pointing down to the ground, my thumb is pointing what would you call this? Like towards
the ground, but like kind of a 45
degree angle. It's not like directly like to my feet. It's more it's more 45-degree angle,
angled kind of towards like the head
so when I'm playing my songs, if you were to stop right there, when I did the chunk, it's not pointing down like this. So if it's pointing down like this, that means you're strumming, or you're turning your wrist too much. because it just needs to be like a nice and natural, twist of the wrist with the strum followed by the thumb. That's really all it is. Twist the wrist, strum with the pointer finger, stop with the thumb. Twist the wrist, strum with the pointer finger, follow with the thumb. And then it's just all one quick motion so that you get this chunk.
It's not like you strum and then you mute it.
Yeah.
Like it shouldn't
part
be
of the
that.
motion, part of the one motion.
Yeah. That's a common misconception that people have, right? Like they separate it into two, like I need to strum and then I need to put my palm down. Mm-hmm. But it should all be just like
as soon as as soon as the strum is done, like the thumb should be down also.
It's just resting there, like it's going to that position.
Because if you were to separate it, you would hear that. But you're not hearing that, you're hearing. And what's creating that is that your thumb is already stopping it before it even makes a chord.
It's like it's kind of like it happens so fast that you just end up hearing that the sound.
Chunk,
yeah.
So.
And then a lot of people kind of put
other people say.
A lot of people put a little bit too much force into it. It's really a kind of relaxed motion. It just sounds.
It just sounds like it because I use my nails to get a louder sound. So if I scratch it with my nails, if I were to mute it with my left hand, that's what it sounds like with my nails. Now if I add my thumb in there, I'm just getting the nail sound. So my chunk sounds really loud because I like to incorporate my nails in there. So that's just with my pointer finger. With the rest of my fingers, you get a nice loud chunk.
Yeah.
So if it's hurting your cuticle, try to pull back a little bit. Try to relax your hand. It doesn't you don't have to dig all the way into your ukulele. See if you can try the moving like half a foot like from your strumming place and just get closer as you strum. And as soon as your ukulele starts making noise, that should be the perfect spot for you to strum.
I know I tried to help out Carrie earlier too with her roll.
Yeah.
And I think she was kind of getting it, but I think one of the things that kind of was giving her a little bit of trouble is like that since she can only like hear our instructions, she like stuck with the pointing to herself and pointing down to the ground and really doing just that motion, right?
Yeah.
And I told her like, oh, it's good, and we use it as like a visual thing, and even like the doorknob thing. Yeah. Too, we use it as a visual, but eventually, like you want to grow out of that. Like you don't want it to be robotic. You want
you want to more like relax. Like just relax your wrist. Really is my best advice is to relax your wrist, to relax your fingers, and just just let your fingers kind of do the work. Let. Like gravity, because all it is when you're when you have your pointer finger up, you're keeping gravity from having it go down, and just if you let go and just let gravity do its thing, that should be enough enough force or enough to strum your ukulele. So you don't have to really like pull down on the strum and whatever. If you just lift up your hand using your wrist and then like let go and just let your hand drop, like it should be enough to strum your ukulele.
And then it's just kind of like spatially you're kind of guiding to make sure that your hand is the right distance from your strings. So having that forearm on the lower bout of your ukulele really kind of, it's like the crane, keeping the basket right there. Like if your hand is the basket of the crane, it's keeping it at the right distance from your ukulele. So
I think that's like something that beginners struggle with, because they try to, or they tend to like, the way that they play is like very rigid, and it's like if you look at like a robot or something, like a servo, they just move like back and forth, right? Their hands, like, it looks like very robotic. When I think about it, like you want the motion to be like, if you've seen like people use like bullwhips, right? Like where they just like they swing it, it's like that initial motion carries all the way to the tip, right? And that's what's causing that crack.
I see, yeah.
So it's like it's supposed to be like nice and like your whole arm should be relaxed, and your wrist, and it like leads you
like
to
a wave kind of. But I mean, it's like still anchored, It's,
each part of your hand kind of like moves, or each part of your arm moves till it gets to that like point of your finger, and then it hits the strings. So it's like if you
Very
can
zen of you.
yeah, if you can like kind of because recently I saw like a guy playing.
Yeah.
And he did. I'll say it like it was like a popular YouTube video. It's this guy Rumi, his like channel, and he does like challenges and stuff. And then so he tried to learn how to play ukulele in 20 days using a light up ukulele.
Okay.
Have you seen those?
No,
Like
no.
it's
the popolele or something.
yeah.
Populele.
Each fretboard has like a light on it, and he like it tells him where he can place his fingers and stuff. So I checked it out, and he did okay, but like his strumming, like I was like, gosh, this is not like how a kid from Hawaii would strum.
No.
Like, cause he did like mostly he pretty much did like all down strums and barely any up strums, right? Yeah. And it sounds very like I don't know, I don't even know how to explain it. It's just like I feel like you can hear that, and you hear like, you know, all the music that we listen to, Kawa Creator Boys and all these like local Hawaiian musicians, and it sounds like totally different. And maybe if that's what he's going for, that's like fine. But it's like, to me, it's like, oh, we definitely would not teach that way. Like we wouldn't. Yeah. The up strum is like just as important as the down strum, and it's like if he's not doing that, if he's doing like kind of just down strums, it's like. I don't know. It sounds bland to me. It's like
it's tough because I mean, if I've never seen the ukulele before and stuff, but I'm guessing if it lights up, you know, like on your left side, it doesn't really tell your right hand what to do.
Yeah.
You know, unless like the strings light up or something, like strum now or whatever.
Yeah,
you know,
and
like,
which would be a little bit too much.
Yeah,
too
exactly.
much information.
So because you're looking here, then you're looking there, like, you know, the lights are lighting up here, lights are lighting up there. I mean, I don't know. I'm not gonna like nag on it, like, because I've never seen it. I've never, you know, never had any
experience with when we were at Music China, that's the first time that I saw it, and then somebody put it on YouTube, and then I've seen it before, but really, like in our experience of teaching ukulele, a lot of people don't have as much of a problem like remembering what the chords are. But they do have a lot of trouble with like you know strumming, like how to strum, like what's the strumming pattern, how do I chunk.
Right. I mean, you know, like I'd say, you know, out of like 10 emails, like 8 of them will be about like, you know, right hand, and the other 2 will be about left hand.
Or like I feel like even when it's left hand too, it's mostly about like changing chords, and changing chords is a rhythmic thing too, so that I think
to make sure that you're there on time,
that's where they're getting more stuck than the chord itself. Like if you tell people like, oh, you know, these are the chords, they can like play it, they can put their fingers down, but they can't, like, they have a hard time placing it down like on beat 1 or on certain beats.
Would you say that it's comparable, say, like if you were to take dance lessons and you had 2 left feet? Like you would know, like you would know the dance moves, like you know what you want to do, but like you just can't get your feet to, like, you know, to do it. Because I would compare it to that, you know.
Yeah.
By the way, I used to dance, guys. I mean, sorry, my body might not show that I used to be a dancer, but he's a pretty good dancer.
And it's such a hard thing, because like I think we can see the solution, like, and the solution, or we tell people, right, is like you're thinking about it a little too much. Yeah. Like you're trying to concentrate too much on it, but for them that's such a hard thing to like get out of their head,
because for some people, like, you know, rhythm doesn't come as easy. Like it's not natural for some people, and they need, you know, like and I always tell people this, just to relax. Like if you just relax and just, you know, let the the rhythm take over, and if you just kind of let your hand, like I said, just, you know, just drop, you know, just let gravity do its thing, just drop, and imagine a pendulum that you have to just kind of go back and forth and back and forth. Yeah, like the effort is really on the up, right? Like I think you were the one telling me that.
Yeah,
you know, like, just let your.
But then that's the thing too, is that you really have to kind of time it so that you're bringing your hand up, so that, and letting it fall, so that when it hits right on beat. Yeah, you know, because you're kind of letting go before the sound happens. So you gotta kind of time it that way. But
so it is a bit tricky, but it's, you know, it's definitely the top questions that, you know, that we get, like how do I do this, or how do I strum, or how do I chunk. Right hand gets like I want maybe even 9 out of 10 emails, like I'd say.
I think,
and the rest is how do I do bar chords, or how do I hold
yeah,
E?
how do I hold bar chords? How do I hold E?
Yeah.
What string should I get?
Yeah. Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Like what's the best ukulele for $50?
Or it's like I'm just starting off. I need a new ukulele, or
I have $20.
What do you think about
They're
this?
like
ukulele?
$5-10, right?
Yeah.
Those are not real instruments, right?
I think too, like why people struggle with rhythm more so than like, you know, the notes or chords and stuff is because like I think most people are visual learners, right?
Yeah.
And notes and chords you can learn visually, like you can look at somebody playing it and you can follow that, but rhythm is a really like auditory thing.
Because the right hand is moving so fast, and it doesn't even have to be a fast song. It can just be like a normal, you know, song. Someone just strumming, like, and they'll be like, "What is he? You know, what is he or she doing with like the right hand?" It's,
like when you teach a strumming pattern, we tell people like, oh, say it too, right? Like down, up, down, down. You know, like follow along that way. But really, like when you're playing a song. It's pretty hard to be like trying to say that the entire song, and if it's a moderate song even, it's like you might skip up or you might get lost, so it's tricky.
If we were better with like animation and stuff, like I think what would be helpful is to get like a you know, like a see-through kind of like a kind of view, because most of the time your hand is blocking you know, the student's view from what's actually happening, because you know I'm doing it this way. You can show it from this angle, but this angle is not going to show you like what you really need to see, because this is the angle that you want to see, like the ukulele facing you. But when I do my right hand like this, you know, because my right hand's not see through, my dad's not made of glass, you know, like you can't see what's actually happening when I'm doing this, or even when I'm doing this. You know, like a lot of the time, like you just see my fingers moving randomly, and you know, for the most part, they are. But as far as you know, which ones I'm hitting, and what I'm doing with my pointer finger, it's a bit tough. But we were better at animation.
That's like when I do the animations for like solos and stuff. That's where it's like sometimes even when you do like tremolos. I debate like should I animate this? Because like so we film in like 30 frames per second. So that's like, you know, it's that you have 30 frames for just 1 second, and then one of those frames is you hitting the string. Like so the string would light up every single second. That's the like frame. Every frame. So it would light up if you can like imagine seeing a light flashing 30 times. It's a solid light. it doesn't really help, right? Like, and that's where it's like when that happens, people go like, "Oh, why didn't you show it?" It's like I can't. Like I physically can't. I've tried to
break it down like by the microsecond,
or even like we've tried looking into ways, and it's so fast. It's and like just that's where like slowing it down kind of helps too, because you can when we slow it down, then you can see it.
Technically play it
on the tremolo. Tremolo is a bit tough if I'm gonna
slow. You can't
slow.
So it's
of course, even the tremolo, like what I was saying, if I'm doing this, like you can't see from this angle, like you can't see what my thumb is doing, and like the whatever, like. But you know, say if we had like a creative genius who could like make models and like, you know, and like 3D whatever thing, and it's like
we'd have to like 3D map.
I know 3D map my hand.
In fact, I did look into it.
Really? Oh, we don't have that kind of resources, man.
That's
crazy.
There's also like these pressure sensor gloves.
Oh yeah.
So I was actually really looking into that about like, you know, what parts of your finger your you know, are
like it's showing more pressure.
So or parts of your hand, like, you know, when you hold a certain chord, like what parts are touching, because you know, you talk about like having like a point of contact, at least a couple points of contact, so that you can move fluidly from chord to chord.
And
so just kind of like going through that and seeing what parts of your hand light up
actually
when you're moving.
That is really cool.
But
I never would have thought of that.
But it's mostly like, I mean, colleges have it for their research, you know, like on like sports.
We're a college. We have a university here, and
stuff. Yeah. So it's hard to get your hands on that technology.
You need to get a grant of some sort.
Yeah.
Well,
for
educational purposes. Yeah.
In the chat, Yoda said like, oh, we need a high-speed camera, and I've I went to Aaron and I was like, oh, it'd be so cool, but those things cost like a cheap one might cost $100,000. And it's like, there's always me and Aaron. I think like we always see stuff like things that people are using. When we when we first saw VR, right? We talked about like how can we use VR with lessons, and we talked about like if somebody puts on the VR goggles and they can still see themselves. But they see an overlay when they look down on their ukulele, like that kind of stuff. But it's like all this technology that we're like, oh, it'd be so cool, but we just can't.
I don't mean to go like off topic and stuff, but remember that like that SNL video, like I threw it on the ground. I think we were talking about that. Like they probably, because they're on SNL now, they probably have like access to like high speed cameras, and they wrote a song
they wanted to make that video. Yeah. Alan says you should switch to 60 frames per second. We actually have cameras that do 120, right? But even then, it
doesn't.
The application for it is you gotta really choose your battles.
Well, like the frames get faster, but the technique is still the same in like seconds, per seconds.
Yeah.
So that's not gonna, to be able to play it that fast. You just have to build up to it. There really isn't like anything that would help kind of, or I don't really know how to explain it.
Yeah. So we're trying to evolve, but
the limitations of
lots of funds.
And even then it's more about really kind of explaining it to you and then you trying it out for yourself and then being able to kind of get it in your own way. It doesn't even have to be the way that we teach it exactly, as long as you're able to pull it off,
because there's a lot of people that have come on the Thursday one-on-one and stuff, and the one-on-one coaching, someone will like kind of come to me and be like, hey, I've been doing it like this. I'm like, well, if that if that works for you, if you're comfortable with doing it that way, there's nothing wrong with doing it like that. And and they're like, oh, okay, I thought I was doing it wrong. I was like, no, it just looks different from what I'm doing, but you have to really consider your own like comfort level, So even though it doesn't look like what I'm doing my ukulele, someone like Matt Dahlberg, he was my student for for a little while, and whenever he plays his ukulele, like it looks super different from the way that I do mine, and he was my private student for a long time. But and I would have if I were really adamant that like no, it must be like this, like he would look like how I would play, but he's kind of doing his own thing and it works for him.
He's also a lot taller than you and lankier. Just proportions are different.
It's right, exactly. And that because of that, he has to adjust certain things that that I teach him to work for what he does with his body. So the way that we teach it, you're gonna have to kind of modify a little bit for to fit your own hand, your own body, and for your own comfort level.
I think like that's, you mentioned one-on-one, and I think that's like the other good thing about one-on-one is like if you do show somebody something, like you show them how you do it, and then you tell them like, okay, now you try it, and you sit there and you like watch them. And I think for other stuff, like for the videos that we record and we put out, like we can't necessarily like tell you like, okay, try it and we'll watch you now. And so there have been like times where I've seen people like in the comments, they go like, I can't get it, like I don't understand. But kind of the thing I think that's happening is that they watch the video and they don't try it. Like they don't try it themselves. They just go immediately like from watching the video, seeing it and being like, I don't get it. Can you explain this a little bit more? And it really is something where it's like, if you try it, you might feel the difference. But until you do, you're not, it can just look like, this just looks confusing, or this just looks like, why? I think that's like the thing that we've tried to improve. And then like people ask us too, is like, why am I doing this? Right? Like why should I do it this way instead of this way? And sometimes we go like, oh yeah, like you can do it whatever way you want. And then times we're like,
there's a reason,
yeah, there is like a very specific reason we explain it this way.
Yeah, so for those of you folks who who are even thinking a little bit like, am I doing this right? If that question has ever came up in your head while doing any of these lessons, definitely make an effort to either show up for the one-on-one coaching where we can just fix whatever that is right away, or we can tell you that you're doing just fine, or like send us a video and just click the little green button on the bottom right and send us a video of whatever you're doing, or if you think you're doing something wrong, we can help you with that right away. But one-on-one coaching definitely is the best way, because you get an immediate response.
Yeah. And like the other thing we've seen too is like when we tell people that, they're like, oh, but I'm shy, or like I'm not really sure. And it seems like people have this idea that they have to come to you like mastering the technique already.
Yeah, I know.
But like the whole idea is that like
you're not supposed to.
Yeah, like we want to see you improve.
That's why you come. Yeah, that's why you come. It's so that we can fix whatever problem. It's not like you don't bring a car to a shop like with it being in pristine condition. Like you bring a car broken like to a shop so you can get fixed, right?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Tell me what's going on.
Yeah, there's a gremlin in there somewhere. Like the phalange isn't working.
I used to go to piano lessons like every week, right? And gosh, I'm such a terrible student. I don't know why I'm working here. Like honestly, I'm a terrible music student. But I used to go to piano lessons every week, and like my piano teacher would be like, "Kahai, did you practice this?" And it's like, no. She's like, okay, well, try to play it then,
Yeah.
And this is
my practice right now.
Yeah. That's a really bad habit. But like, we're not like, when you come into one-on-one or you send us a video response, we're not gonna be like, did you practice last week?
Yeah.
Oh no, like you know, like like that's not right. Like we've actually had people, right, like come in and you go like, oh, so how are you doing with this? And they go like, oh, I didn't have the time to practice. And I'm like, oh, that's okay. Like,
yes,
just
fine. Yeah,
just show us like what you're doing now, then, and we'll
exactly.
We'll see.
That's the beauty of ukulele. I can do it, whenever, at your own pace, at your own time. So I mean, if you didn't have time to practice it, and if it still sounds, like how it sounds, and that's just how it's going to sound, and we can still work on it, and I would still like to hear if it made a little progress or if it made no progress, because I can at least, make comments on what you can, work on as soon as you have the chance to work on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, even there's like the practice logs on the EU Plus forum.
Yeah.
And that's people submitting their own practice logs, right? Like even that, like I've seen people submit and they go like, "Oh, guys, I haven't really practiced in the last 2 months. Here's where I'm at." And I'm like, "You're doing fantastic. What are you talking about? Like, you're doing a really good job. Like, it's not like you went from 0 to virtuoso or anything, but it's exciting for us. Like whenever, if you guys submit videos or we get to see you guys play, I think anytime you guys do that, it's always exciting for us. It's never, we're never going to be like, oh man,
this person is terrible.
Ew. Everybody
get off my site.
Yeah, everybody is in, is exactly where they should be.
Right.
Right. And so it's kind of that journey. If you're enjoying, as long as you're enjoying the journey, it's all good.
Because if you're playing like Kahai Meow already, then you really don't need the site, and that's really what it's all about. If you're already good, then you don't need to be signed up here. So people are signed up here because they want to learn something new, or they want to get better at it and stuff, and that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Is Clay signed up for the site? He should be.
Well,
I'll make
make him an account. Yeah,
I'll make him an account. Hey, Clay.
What? Clay, you should really join the one-on-one coaching.
Yeah, I could. You need a little work, buddy.
Help you with that.
Clay, what are you doing with your tremolo? Like, why aren't you planting your finger down?
Jesus, pointer finger, Clay. Are you kidding me?
Oh my gosh!
Have you not learned anything? God.
There was a question on the chat. Okay, let me. Okay. So Rob said the action on my uke seems high at the upper frets. What is the right distance between the strings and the fretboard at the 14th fret?
See, I'm like the wrong person to ask. I think we've answered this question before. Do you remember the answer? Because there is a right answer. There's a right answer to that. Hold on.
But it just kind of depends on like
the maker. The maker makes it different too.
Yeah, and how you want it set up.
How you want it set up. Yeah. So, do we have the ruler? Do you have a ruler here? Maybe we'll just use a ruler on this thing. Ruler.
We don't have. It's usually measured in millimeters. That's why.
It's very small.
I want to say the answer, but I don't want to tell you the wrong answer.
But like while we're waiting for like Aaron to kind of like find the answer and stuff,
what's your bet? Let's bet right now. What's your bet? I want to put my bet on quarter inch.
Quarter inch.
What do you think? Like the space from like the string. It's probably wrong because this quarter inch is kind of high, but
I would no. Like 1/5 maybe then.
Ooh, okay.
I don't know.
You sound like that contestant on Prices Right. Where like 800 Bob, like 801, 801.
And then get the stink eye from everybody else.
The Ukulele site, because they do setups every single day.
Okay, that's great. That's a very reputable site.
But they have their own podcast if you want to check that out too. So but they say about 3 millimeters at the 12th fret.
So what is that in inches? Siri, who has Siri? Siri, can you?
Aaron, look up Google.
Well, it doesn't matter because like it's gonna just tell you. It's not gonna tell you in like whatever fractions. You know?
I guess, but
it's like 0.11 of an inch. So like that's 10 like 1/10 of an.
Oh yeah, we were both wrong. I was closer.
Both
though.
high, yeah.
No, you were closer. Yeah, you were closer.
We're just
5. Whatever,
But yeah, so
you pulled the prices right on me. That's why. 1/5, Bob.
Yeah, and then Alan just said depends on which strings too because of thickness.
It's true. Yeah. You might get some buzzing.
Yeah.
But what was the answer? 1/10.
About 3 millimeters.
3 millimeters.
2.5, 3 millimeters.
And that's roughly like 1/10 of an inch.
That's fairly on the low end, I think. They like to set their kind of.
Yeah. So it's basically as long as there's no buzzing.
Mm-hmm.
There's like what I wanted to say too though is that like no matter what your strings are always gonna be lower towards the top of the ukulele or towards the headstock.
Yeah.
And then it gets higher like up there. And there's like nothing you can do about that.
Yeah, that's just how it works. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if it's any higher than that, that is more on the high end because 3 millimeters is pretty low.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, and it really depends on your playing style and what you like.
Because because there's people who they keep it high on the upper frets because they just don't play it up there.
Yeah.
They
like
play
me.
Yeah, so
I never go past like the 5th fret.
If you don't go past the 5th fret and your action is high on the 12 and stuff, it really shouldn't matter. It might actually be better because you might get a better attack
and intonation
on the strings,
too.
Intonation, yeah. So
and Rob said that his is like 4 millimeters at the 12th fret.
It's high.
And he asked what's the distance for yours, but we don't have a ruler.
Mine is probably at like 3. It's on the low end.
Yeah. Can you show it? Maybe
on the close. Let's see if we
just kind of keep it close to yourself though. Yeah.
So take a screen cap of this picture and then do all the measurements. You can see. Yeah. But if you pull it, like you can see like how it raises, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely closer towards the nut.
Yeah.
And then
look how low that is. It's on the low side. I like mine's kind of low.
Yeah.
But the strings are like super high tension, so people are like, sorry. Oh, that must have been a big peak there. Some people, like when people grab my ukulele, it's like, like it's easy to like to play the chords and stuff, but like actually playing your ukulele is like super hard because the tension is pretty high. So I like high tension strings, and that makes a huge factor for me.
Yeah, and Jim asked, will it really matter that much if you're strumming rather than picking?
The action?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, because strumming might be easier because strumming you're mainly doing chords, right? So if you're doing chords because you're strumming with your left hand, then it might be easier, more comfortable to have a lower action because you can get to those and you don't have to put as much effort, like trying to put those
pressing down.
Yeah, pressing down in your fingers than you would with a high action. With a high action, if you're picking, it might be better. The attack might get a nice boost, in volume and in tone, because it's a higher action.
Yeah.
So any other questions?
There was so in the forum, J Sponder, I don't know how to pronounce this username.
Okay.
Can I tune a right-handed ukulele to left-handed without reversing the strings?
No, you can't. Because that means if you have your G, C, E, A, right? You're not able to tune this E string as a C string. I guess you can, but this, you're gonna have to slack it super low. And the C string is definitely going to be super high if you're going to tune the C string into an E string. But the top and the bottom string should be fine, when you do that. But, these strings are created in the diameter that they are because they're tuned to the note that they're supposed to be tuned to. Okay, so if you tune it in a different note, it's going to affect the the tension on your strings, either too loose or too high. The C being too high, the E being too low if you tune it to a C and you tune the.
So if anything, at least flip the C and the E string.
If you just flip the C and the E string, you should be okay. Yeah. But that's also gonna matter because the nut, the string spacing on the slots on the nut might be different because the slot is gonna be pretty wide for this, for the C string and not as wide on the E string. So if you're gonna take something like like a fat string that's supposed to fit in the slot of your
C string,
the nut on the C string, on the on the E, it might not fit. And the other way works the same way. If you put a small string on a big slot, it might affect the action on the string because it's gonna be riding too low.
Yeah, and then
no, my answer is no.
Yeah, and Alan brings up like a good point, and we actually got a question about this.
Okay.
He said if they have a compensated saddle, that'll mess it up too.
Yeah. Maybe we should just go into a whole discussion on like what you recommend for left-handed people.
What I would recommend for left-handed people, just pick up a left-handed. You pick up a left-handed ukulele, or you learn the ukulele the same, the same exact way, but just like flips. So those are my, my two options that I give to people. Or maybe three options.
Three options. I would say just learn it
right-handed
as is.
That's option 2.
Yeah.
So option 2 is learn it as is, but I guess upside down. Like
no. Just learn it.
Learn it as a. Oh yeah. I guess so.
That's because you're using your right hand and your left hand to play anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
And you're fretting mostly with your left hand, which is your dominant hand.
And we just talked about how right hand is the most questions that we get. So if they're left-handed, they're gonna be okay doing this, but like doing this is gonna be even more alien.
Yeah, but I think it's all alien when you start.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So I like across the board, I say like if you have no musical experience, you haven't played guitar before, and
I guess it doesn't.
You're just starting off with ukulele as your
right.
first instrument. Learn it.
Because
the right way, the standard right-handed way, because that way you can pick up anybody's ukulele and play it. You don't have to wait for somebody who has a left-handed ukulele.
And we have had a bunch of guys that that play it exactly like that. Like Kahai is another example. Kahai is a left-hander, and he plays. Yeah, he's
plays right-handed.
Yeah, he plays
Ryan.
Ryan Isaki. So we've had people that are left-handed that play pretty good ukulele. Ryan plays pretty good. I mean, he's no Kahai Gamiao. Maybe he is, but I don't know. I haven't heard him play in a long time. He might have been practicing this whole time. But definitely Kahai, world-class ukulele player, left-handed, learned it the regular way.
Yeah.
So you're right. Totally forgot.
So I would say that. I mean, unless you already have like guitar experience left-handed,
true,
and that's more comfortable for you, and you want to stay that way, then do that. But if you're just starting out, I would say just learn it the right-handed way, or like the standard way, and then that way you won't have to worry about any of those things, changing your strings or flipping the saddle or doing anything.
So four options. Four options is to learn it, or it's like flip your strings, I guess, or get a left-handed ukulele or flip the strings. Second option will be to like learn it as is, but then the other way, so it's upside down. The third option, what was the third option? I forget.
Just learn it
that was fourth. That's the fourth option.
So the upside down way, is that how Jimi Hendrix played?
That's how Jimi Hendrix turned the strings around.
Oh, okay. So he plays played left-handed.
Yeah. But then the guitar was a right-handed guitar, so it looked like he was playing, like left-handed, but the strings were the right way.
Oh, okay. So he flipped his strings.
Yeah. That's always my first go-to whenever left-handed players, because I've always jammed my dad before, and my dad's left-handed, and he always played it like upside down like this.
Oh, but he didn't flip the strings.
He didn't flip the strings, he just played it upside down.
Okay.
Which is impressive, because his down strums are my up strum, and it was like, so my ear was like hearing this weird thing. I'm like,
that is really weird.
But it was cool, jamming him was awesome, and that's just how I always have seen like left-handed players play, but I totally forgot that Kahai was left, and so was Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that is like I don't know, like people come into ukulele or come into music, and you tell them, oh, play it like this, and they go like, oh, but what if I'm like left-handed?
Then you play it like this. It's just the same exact way.
Yeah, and it's like it doesn't like, you might see like, I would say like maybe like at the most a 10% benefit to playing it the other way, like with one hand.
Yeah, you're right.
But like it's so little, like it really is like, if you just learn it this way, it'll probably be easier for you later on,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it's kind of like drums, right?
Yeah.
So like the setup for a drum kit is a set way.
Yeah.
And whether you're right-handed or left-handed,
you're
going to be using both of your hands anyway. So you might as well learn it the standard drum kit setup way.
Or like any of the like the band, or I guess not orchestra, because those are string instruments too, but like any of the band instruments, the woodwinds and the brass, like you don't hear people go like, oh, I'm actually left-handed.
Yeah.
I need a left-handed trumpet.
Yeah. So it's kind of
Is there a lefted-handed trumpet?
Because
I guess like the hook for the I think he might be on the other side.
But that's
oh no, this makes sense. I guess it would be this. No, because you're wrapping it this way.
Yeah. So with trumpet, you're usually using mostly your right hand.
Yeah.
For the valves, to press down the valves.
Yeah.
But it's. Come on, guys. If you need a left-handed, it's 3 valves. I suck at trumpet.
Because I'm playing ukulele, and these would be the fingers that I use for the valve. I'm playing it left-handed. And this is, I'm doing it this. So, if my fingers can do that, then I guess I could play,
Yeah.
That.
And yeah, I don't know. That's always, usually that's because we get that question a lot too. Like, I'm a left-handed player. So I would say, number one, if it's your first instrument, just play it as is. And then 2, if you really wanna play left-handed, the correct left-handed way, then flip your strings. And then 3, like if you're lazy to flip your strings, then you have to learn it upside down, which is even more kind of complicated. But I would say, like, if you really are a want to play left-handed and flip your strings and have your ukulele set up as a left-handed instrument, then people are saying like, how do I take advantage of the video lessons. And so what you're doing actually is just pretending that the screen is a mirror and you're mirroring everything. So you can watch our lessons online and you don't have to like, change anything. You just imagine that it's a mirror and you're mirroring everything that Aldrine is doing on the screen.
I would see that kind of easier anyway.
It would seem easier. Yeah.
Because if you're just mirroring,
instead
of
like to hold the G chord, just pretend that
Yeah.
you're looking at a mirror and you're holding the G chord like that.
I used to practice in a mirror, man. That's for a different discussion.
Yeah. So
and maybe like before we close off for today, Alan mentioned that if you have a compensated saddle, it'll affect swapping out the strings too.
Yeah.
Does yours have one?
Mine's does.
Okay, can you show that?
Okay, so this is a compensated saddle. What that is it's trying to compensate because sometimes like certain strings might play a little sharper or a little more flat.
Yeah.
So
because of the thickness of the string.
And so they compensate. What that means, they will shape the saddle a certain way so that it's either protruding forward or a little bit more back, depending if that string tends to play a little flat or sharp. So with mine, the C string tends to play a little I guess flat, so it's going more in the back, and I think the E tends to play a little bit more sharp, so we tend to pick it a little bit more forward, or the opposite. Either that or the opposite. I didn't set it up. I'm not I'm not a luthier. But it is that way, and it's that's the reason. It's either that or the opposite.
Because that was like the question from before, is Angie was asking about compensated saddles and if we could explain it, and she said like she's a beginner, so she doesn't really think it'll matter to her.
No.
And like really for like if you're thinking about it, your ukulele should come with a saddle, and whatever saddle it comes with should be what you use, or like
the compensated saddle just helps to keep it like in tune all the way up. So if you're a beginner, you're spending most of your time down here anyway. But some ukuleles get a little bit more off tune as you go higher up the fretboard. And that's kind of when this compensated saddle might come into play. But if you're not playing up here, then they're really you shouldn't be too worried about it.
That's like it helps if you think about it, like we talked about intonation like a few weeks ago. I think it helps with that, like where it's like when you hit the open note and when you hit the 12th note, it'll be in tune. It'll make it so it's like closer to that, rather than like if it wasn't compensated, then when you hit the 12th note, it might be like a little off. So
and usually you would just let the person who set up your ukulele just worry about that. It's kind of beyond most people.
Like I just said, I don't do my own,
so
and it helps a little bit, but I don't see it helping too much, honestly, because for myself, I have mine compensated only because like I really worry about how many cents it's off. If it's off by like a couple cents, to me it's like that's
you can hear it.
I can hear it. And if I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I've been using this ukulele a lot lately because the other ukulele was playing just a couple cents off, and I hear it and it drives me crazy. So like it, for most people, like they don't, and it's been playing that way for a couple years now, and for me, like I'm like, should I send it? Like, is it even worth it? Like sending it, because it plays just fine, but my ears couldn't handle it anymore. And I told Joe from Ukulele, I was like, hey, can you just move it just 2 more cents to to one side?
And when you talk about cents too, if people don't know what that is, that's like, it's like if you're comparing F to F sharp, it's like in between those two, like it'll be like just it'll be slightly, like it can be like 1/10 a little bit sharper, right? Like it's not even going to the next note, it's just in between those two, or in between whatever notes.
I'd say like maybe 5 cents. That's kind of when people like hear it, like start to kind of hear it. If you have a if you have a pretty good like a pretty good ear,
well, like I think it's easier to hear too, like as you get more used to it, because like if you do the test where you hit the open string and then you hit the 12th, like you're comparing the 2 notes right next to each other, so you should be able to like, or it gets easier to hear like, oh, this is a little off. Like this isn't perfectly, in tune. So.
Yeah.
That's why I just like it, so that it's perfect.
Right on.
I like it right on because I do a lot of stuff up here, and that 2 cents might turn into 3 cents or 4 cents as it goes up.
For reference, from one fret to another is 100 cents, which is why it's called cents.
Yeah. So that's like saying it's like three steps like. From out of 100 steps between C, B and C, right? B and C is 100 cents. So if it might be playing,
like a little
as
bit
compared
off.
to this.
And you're saying that you can
I can hear the difference.
Well, like you're saying, like you feel like 5 cents is where you can hear it. So that's like 1/20th of like a difference.
Actually, I'll show it to you guys. This tuner has cents on it. So this is I'm turning the wrong one. What am I doing? I'm sure people have done that before. So this is an A, and here's 5 cents. Right there, as opposed to.
Yeah, so you can definitely you can hear the difference.
Yeah. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tune this E perfect. So here we have like a perfect A, and I'm gonna tune this A like 5 cents higher. So it's 5 cents higher. So now it should be in tune with this. So when you hear that.
It's close.
It's close, but it's not. Because some ears might hear like.
But like the waveforms are not matching perfectly. Yeah.
As opposed to this, if you play it together.
Well, like that's what I always I always heard like what you're trying to aim for.
Yeah.
If you're tuning string to string. Is that you don't hear 2 strings, you hear just one note, like one string, and that's getting it as close as you can. So
it's pretty good. Oh, I was too the wrong string. Anyway, whatever. But that ukulele was just a couple cents, and it was enough to drive me crazy. I didn't make it because we did Aloha Friday Live Jam, we did all this stuff, and but it's just whenever I started doing parallel octaves and stuff, and whenever I started kind of bending, I could hear it, and it was bothering me so much.
Yeah, and then if you don't have having a regular saddle, I was trying to think of what the word is for not compensated. So just having a regular saddle means that it's flat all the way, or it's curved a little bit, but it's not gonna have ridges, or it's not gonna change the I don't know, length of this where it is, right?
Just where it lies up, where the string lies on the saddle. So wherever the string lies on the saddle, that's that's where it's set at. So compensated saddles, the different strings might lie on different places in the saddle.
Yeah, and some ukuleles have that saddle, and they work perfectly fine too. So it really is more of a builder, the person who sets up ukuleles kind of thing.
Because it depends on the ukulele too. The ukulele might might be built a certain way that it's some strings might be playing different than others. So it all depends. There's a lot of variables to it.
And even between or even within one brand, they can have one ukulele that has compensation and then another that doesn't. So it really is just very individual.
Okay, I think it's been a very, very informative Thursday Live lesson here. But next week, who's coming back? Magic Mike. Magic Mike Odo coming back next week. So if you have any questions for Magic Mike, send it over to us. You can click on the green button.
Music theory questions.
Music theory questions, yes. Flash it on the screen where they can send their questions at, Kahai.
I don't have that ready.
Oh, you don't have that? So anyway, it would be flashing. So this is where it would be at. And what it would say would be questions at ukuleleunderground.com.
Yep.
That right? So
just email. Yeah.
With an S, right? Questions at ukuleleontheground.com, or hit the green button on the bottom right hand of your screen, or
or post it to the U Plus
forum. Yeah, so that's what it would say. If it did flash in front of you, that's what it would say. That you can ask your questions at ukuleleontheground.com, green button, and or post it on the forum. So we comb all that stuff for questions. Okay, so stick around for Songs Made Easy. We have a jam today, so this is going to be the last Thursday of the month. We're going to have a little jam. We're going to pick some songs that we learned this week. Learned this month and last month. And after that, we have one-on-one coaching, the thing that we just were talking about. If you want to, if you want an instant response and getting better at the ukulele, attend the one-on-one coaching. So this is Aldrine Guerrero. I'll see you next time. Aloha.